Morning everyone, and welcome to today's webinar where we'll be looking at the new features of CropWalker in version 5.6.50 that were released about a month ago in December. So if we have a look what we're going to cover today, I've gone through the introduction really already, and just one more thing is to remind you how to update your CropWalker if you haven't already done so. You can do that by clicking onto the web update icon that should be on your desktop. If I just point that out now. Up at the top there, CropWalker web update. If you just run that and follow the step-by-step instructions, you'll be able to update yourselves to the latest version. Okay, and then we'll look at the main features that came with this release. So first of all, looking at displaying soil analysis results when you're making fertilizer plans, and then setting a default crop. This is a time saver, really making it easy for you if you just grow one or two crops. You can set that default crop so you don't have to select it each time. I'll then look at a way how you can flag up when operators' qualifications and certificates are due to expire. The next one is a time saver for copying your seed stock. If you need to enter seed splits into CropWalker, there's a new copy button to save you time when doing this. And I'll then go through a few report changes and the main bug fixes that I think were included in this release, and then finally just point out the help files that have now been updated to you. Okay, so to look at the first point there, displaying soil analysis results. Like I said, in the fertilizer plan screen, by clicking the Show Previous button, you can now display the most recent soil analysis result for a field. If I just point this out. So when making a fertilizer plan, you first need to select the crop and then move your required fields over to selected fields, and then highlight the field you want to view the soil analysis for. So if I click onto Church Paddock, and then over on the top right hand side, click onto the Show Previous button, then down in the bottom half of the screen, if there has been a soil test carried out on that field and it's been entered into CropWalker, that will appear down here. The results of that will appear down here, so you can look back at that when you're making your fertilizer recommendations. And then the next area I wanted to look at was setting the default crop. Just point out where this new feature is. So under the Tools menu and then Options and the Field Picker tab, which is where most of the system configuration is, you can select a default crop, and you can choose to apply this across all of your farms that you have in CropWalker or just for the selected farm. And this will really be useful for growers of only one or two crops, because when you then go into the AgChem plans or the fertilizer plan screen, the default crop will automatically be selected, and then all the fields that contain that crop will automatically appear in the available fields box to be selected to have a plan made on them. So if I just go into CropWalker and point this out, let's close the fertilizer plan screen, under Tools and then Options, and then this last Field Picker tab, you've just got this default crop selection. You can select your crop from the drop down, and then like I said, you can apply this across all farms in the system, or if you click No, that will apply it just to the farm that you have selected up here in the farmer name drop down. So if I OK that, and then when I go into the AgChem plan screen, that crop I've selected will automatically appear, and all those fields containing that crop will be there. So it's a real time saver if you're only growing 1 or 2 crops. Likewise, in the fertilizer plan screen, that crop will also automatically appear. Right, no questions coming through. So moving on then, I mentioned flagging up when operators' qualifications or certificates are due to expire. And this is a new option. You can set that to appear when you open up CropWalker. You can choose to show operators' qualifications that are due to expire within your chosen number of days. So you can see down there, if you tick show qualifications due to expire, you can then set the number of days, and then within that number of days before the expiry date is due, when you open up CropWalker, you'll get a message that those certificates are about to expire. So again, if I just point that out in CropWalker itself, it's a fairly simple one, but under farm information and operators, if you've got some certificates or qualifications recorded in here, you can tick that box and select the number of days you want before you want the warnings to appear, and then providing you close and open CropWalker when you finish with it for the day, those qualifications, you'll get a warning message when you open it up. So that's operator qualifications. I think the final new feature that I want to look at before I move on to reports and bug fixes is the copy seed stock function, that new button in the seed stock screen. So this is useful if you need to enter seed splits that have the same seed reference but, for example, different sizes and a different tuber count if you're working with potato seed. And what it does is it just copies all the seed details across, and you can then edit what you need to, hopefully saving you time and duplication. So let me show you where to find this in CropWalker. Underneath stocks, and then seed stocks, I click onto seed, and you see I've got 1 winter wheat seed in here. Now if I wanted to enter a split that had that same reference, I could just press copy, and that will add a copy in there, and then you can just edit any details if the size is different, or the variety, or the percent germination rate, etc. And then to save those details, you simply need to just close out of it. If I go back in, you can see that there. Okay then, to look at the report changes, there are 4 main changes that I want to point out. So the first one is a new report to group deliveries by supplier. So if you're using a number of different suppliers, or even just 2, and you want to look at your deliveries and group them together by who supplied what, you can do that now. So underneath reports, and then product reports, you've got a product supplied option, and then if you select, when you open up the preview screen, if you select supply based on deliveries in the select data area, this will produce this report that groups deliveries by supplier. So in CropWalker, like I said, reports, product reports, and then product supplied. If you select that supply based on deliveries in the data area, let me just look at the time frame. Okay, from the first. And if I preview that, I haven't got much data in here, but what you can see is what has been supplied by that first AgriSpert supplier, and then what has been supplied by my next supplier A. Add back to the reports area then. I've just shown you how to look at the new report which groups deliveries by suppliers. The next report I want to point out is, well, it's not a new report, but it's an area on a report that the arthropod buffer zone restriction. There's a new warning for this on AgChem plans if the product that you're applying has an arthropod buffer zone restriction. So I'm not going to go into this in CropWalker, but you can just see here for the product harvest, there's now a warning to apply an arthropod buffer zone for that product that appears in red after the field list. Okay, and then the third report I wanted to point out to you is that when you link inspections to AgChem plans, if there's an identical inspection for a whole group of fields, rather than putting that inspection detail against each field on the AgChem plan, it's now just shown underneath the whole group of fields. It's only shown the once. So like I said, if an inspection is made on several fields and then linked to an AgChem plan, it will be listed underneath the group of fields rather than underneath each field. Okay, so I'll point that out for you in CropWalker. If I go to print my AgChem plans, preview that. You can see there's been an inspection made and linked to this plan. Rather than duplicating that inspection detail each time, it's just put that inspection detail underneath the group of fields. Then the final report area that I want to point out is that crop reference now displays after the field name on the fertilizer plans. So let me see if I can find one to show you here. I'm not sure I have any crop reference entered, but no. I'm afraid I haven't got one to point out for you there, but if you use the crop reference area when you enter your fields and cropping, that will now display after the field name on the fertilizer plans. Okay, so those are all the main report changes. So I'm going to move on to the bug fixes area, and here what I've done is I've just pointed out what I think are the main problems that were appearing with CropWalker that I think could have caused issue, and that these have now been fixed. And what I will do after the session is I'll put a link to the release notes, so if you want to look at the complete list of bug fixes or report changes or new features, as I've just pointed out the main ones, then you can look at those and have a read through that. So the main bug fixes: stock levels are now being checked when fertilizer plans are edited. There was an issue that when the fertilizer plans were just edited, it wasn't rechecking the stock and taking that into account, so that's been fixed. The other thing is we're making orders in the product requirement screen. Pack size and units and the default supplier were not appearing for some people, so that has also been fixed and there shouldn't be any issues there now. Staying on the product requirements area, there was also an issue where previous orders for, if you had more than one farm in CropWalker, previous orders for all farms were showing at the bottom of the product requirement screen, whereas now it's just specific to the one farm you've got selected and you'll only see the previous orders for that farm. And finally, the last bug fix that I think is important to point out is that there were issues with data exchange between older versions and newer versions of CropWalker, and that's now been fixed, so regardless of the version of CropWalker you're using, you should be able to data exchange with other versions. Okay, so the last area I wanted to look at was the updated help files. So I spent a lot of my time last year updating all the help files in CropWalker. So if there's anything that you need to look up, under this help menu and view help file, there are now up-to-date guides on every area of CropWalker. Let me just close that. The other thing regarding help, the help menu, is that the technical support request that you can access from the help menu, the email that opens when you click this button now includes an attached planet data button. So if you're having issues with if you use Planet and you're having some issues, you can use that button to easily send our support team your Planet data, allowing them to more easily see what the problem is and resolve that more quickly for you. But only users with Planet installed will see this option. Okay, so if I just point that out, under the help menu, when you click on technical support request, this launches an email to go to support@muddyboots.com, and there's now an attached Planet data button, so you can use that to quickly send your Planet data to our support team. Okay, so I've gone through everything now. Let me just see if I've had any. There are no more questions. If you do think of any questions after the session, then don't hesitate to contact myself or the support team for technical questions. The best email to get to me on would be productadoption@muddyboots.com. But be aware, I'm only at Muddy Boots for another week. I leave the company next Friday, the 24th. So after that, if you send an email to Product Adoption, then it will be picked up by someone else who will be able to answer your query. Okay. Then if there aren't any more questions, thank you for your time this morning, and good luck with using the new features of CropWalker, and let me know if you're having any technical issues or have any questions about CropWalker, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. Thank you, have a good day and a good weekend.